Hi friends, hello, hi, oh my god, okay. Well, I just want to say before we get into this, I am very nervous right now. I don't know why. I was feeling totally fine to like start filming again until I actually sat down, and then all of a sudden I got this like massive spike of anxiety. So I'm just gonna try to like chill the out for a second. Hi, I've missed you guys. So today, if you're not super there's a couple disclaimers to this video. If you're not super interested in like me as a person, which is totally fine. If you're just here for like the stuff I talk about, this one's not for you, but Wednesday's video will be for you. So know that there's videos coming that are not just all about me. Secondly, I'm very nervous right now and I'm very scared to talk about what I'm going to be talking about. However, I'm not scared because I'm like, I guess I am scared of judgment. I am a little bit nervous about that, but I also think that it's important to just discuss everything and be really honest with you guys and really open with you guys, because that's quite literally what I founded my channel on, was like being open and honest about like my life. So today's video, I want to talk to you guys about where I've been the past month, the month of August. I know I uploaded one video in August. It was like a get ready with me, but I haven't, that was filmed like kind of before, and I haven't really been posting or uploading or doing anything on any social media for the past month. And I want to tell you guys why. And I want to have kind of an open and honest conversation with you guys about where I have been and what's been going on. I do want to give a trigger warning to this video because we are going to talk about a lot of mental health stuff, suicide, sexual assault, things like that. So if that is something you are easily triggered by, easily skip this video. It's again not, it's just about me. Like it's not anything crazy. So I want to discuss where I've been, and I want to discuss why I decided to leave the internet for a little bit. And I feel like I might get some criticism for being so open about this, because not even criticism, I think people might say things along the line of, you don't owe us this explanation and you don't owe us this sort of detailed explanation about where you've been, because what I'm going to be talking about is very personal. And I just want to say right off the bat, the reason that I knew the moment this happened that I was going to talk about it when I was ready, the reason I knew that was because I am a very strong advocate for normalizing when your mental health is not okay. I think that too often on the internet, we try to brush things like mental health crisis. We try to brush it under the rug, and we try to sort of not talk about it because there's this very large stigma around receiving and getting help. And I knew when I left, for the reasons I left, that I was going to want to talk about kind of what happened and why it happened, and sort of just destigmatize it a little bit and be really honest about what happened, because I think that if it can make anybody else feel more comfortable with their experience, then that's a positive. I always have felt very thankful and very blessed to have this platform, and if I can utilize this platform to help anyone else feel less alone in their struggle, then that is exactly what I would like to do. Basically, since the beginning of the summer, my mental health has been really bad. And I know a lot of you have picked up on it because I've seen comments of people being like, yeah, she looks sad, or, you know, she's not as up as she was. And that's true. I was dealing a lot with my depression, which I've talked pretty openly about my sort of mental health journey on my channel. I have a whole video about like a lot of mental health stuff. But a lot of times when I talk about my mental health, the big thing I focus on is my anxiety, because I have very severe generalized anxiety. I am anxious 24/7. There's never a moment I'm not experiencing some level of anxiety. That used to be sort of my most prominent issue, I would say. I don't know if issue is the right word, but it was my most prominent thing. Like, I always was anxious, always. And it got to a point about 6 years ago where it was so debilitating. It's actually like a year and a half before I met Charles. It was so debilitating that I couldn't drive, I couldn't work, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't hang out with my friends, I couldn't do anything, which led me to be hospitalized in order to get put on medication to help my anxiety. And since then, even though I will still say that my anxiety is something that I really do struggle with, my my anxiety has definitely been more manageable. I'm able to have a job. I'm able to post on YouTube. I'm able to go to classes and go to school. I was able to get my degree. That's not something I ever could have done before getting on anxiety medication because of how severe my anxiety is. I needed medicine. Something I feel always gets kind of pushed to the back seat when it comes to my mental health is my depression and my sort of PTSD that I deal with. They're not things that I talk about as openly, and I think the reason I don't talk about them as openly, not even just on YouTube, I more mean like in my life, I don't talk like to my family, to my husband. I don't talk about these things as openly, and I think a big reason for that isn't because I'm like ashamed of it. I think it's because I don't fully understand that side of my mental health. My anxiety and I, like, we're good friends. We understand each other. We get each other. Like, I understand the anxiety. I know where it comes from. I can trace it. The depression and the PTSD are things that I don't understand, and I feel like that's why when I'm really deeply struggling with them, I don't talk about them because I don't get it. I'm very quick when I get depressed to write myself off as just being unmotivated or lazy. And I'll just say to myself, you're not depressed, you're just not trying hard enough. You're just not working through it. If I have a flashback for my PTSD from a lot of the traumas that I've been through in my life, it's to shove it away and push it under the rug and to never fully address it and own up to it. And lately, in the past few months, my depression has been getting steadily worse and worse and worse and worse. And on top of that, and I think they probably go hand in hand, a lot of side effects of my PTSD have been getting a lot worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's led to me really being in a very dark place. I've been in really bad headspaces lately. Now, all of this kind of came to a head at the beginning of August, and I was in a place where I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. I had thoughts to kill myself, pretty much all consuming all day, every day. I didn't have plans, but I had like concepts in my head. I felt like there was nothing left for me here, and I got to a point in my life where I felt so worthless and so unworthy of living. As like awful as that sounds, I got to that point and I wanted to die. It got to a point where Charles and I was like pushing him away because I felt like I was ruining everyone's lives. It's all very irrational now. Looking at it now, like a month later, I can look back and say like it was very irrational at the time, but when it was happening, it felt like the only response was to basically blow my life up so it would be easier for people around me if I were to literally just die. So I pushed Charles away, and we were in a really bad spot. It was probably the worst like spot we've ever been in our entire marriage and relationship in general. I was doing things that were like super erratic and not like me. I was basically just miserable all the time. And while that was all happening, I was still posting on YouTube. It was like I was just coasting through everything. Like I didn't care about anything at all. Like I cared about nothing in my life, basically. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think there's a lot of reasons why it got so bad. I'm not gonna go too into detail just because a lot of it involves people around me, and I am never one to like put that on blast, but I had a lot of issues with my family. My sister and I, one of my sisters and I are not speaking. We haven't spoken in almost a year and a half at this point. And we had a very large falling out that has never been resolved. I don't know if it ever will be resolved. That's still not a thing that I know what's gonna happen with. I lost one of my absolute best friends on the planet. We stopped being friends in a very awful, traumatizing way. It was really sad and very hard. I have family that's very sick, who are not doing well health-wise, which added to a lot of stress. I know I talked about this a little bit, but my grandma passed away last year, and we never, because of COVID, we never got to have a funeral or have any sort of like closure of anything to do with that. So I've been still struggling with that. I think a lot of the trauma that I experienced like years ago is really starting to pop up, and I think it's something that I've ignored for a very long time and haven't fully addressed. So it's starting to really like cause issues for me, because if everything else is falling apart, obviously the worst moments of your life are going to start peeking through too. And I think on top of all of that and all of that other sort of interpersonal stress, YouTube as a job started really stressing me out. I don't want to say that I had like imposter syndrome, because I don't know if that's what it is, but I think it kind of was. I don't know. But I think there's always been with YouTube this feeling of, and I think it's just because it's so weird. I can't express enough how fucking weird YouTube is, but there was this feeling of feeling like I'm a fraud, feeling like everybody who watches my videos and likes the videos, they're all being fooled by me. Like I'm just tricking everybody into liking me. It's a fluke that this many, I literally almost convinced myself that it was like a glitch that I was getting views on videos or that like anything positive was happening with my YouTube channel. Like the past 2 months, my YouTube channel has been growing at a really exponential rate, which is amazing. And I was miserable about it because I just felt all of this sort of intense pressure that nobody was putting on me but myself. I think the other thing about YouTube too that was causing a lot of this stress and was causing a lot of these feelings was that I didn't have any sort of set schedule for YouTube. I think there's a lot of pros to being your own boss and like working for yourself. And I used to really excel in that, in the sense that I was able to sort of set my hours and I was very on schedule with things, and that's just how I operated. I operated this like it was a normal job. But when my mental health started deteriorating, so did that schedule, and so did all of that. So my sleep schedule started getting really bad again, which is always detrimental for me. I started not being able to plan things out properly, which led me to feel like I was always working, which I kind of was. It was basically doing these short, like 30-minute bursts of work interspersed throughout my day. So it felt like every day, all day, even if I wasn't working, I was thinking about work, or I was just straight up working. I took 2 trips in July. One was like not really a vacation, but one was supposed to be like my vacation. And I worked on both of those trips pretty much the entire trip because I had stuff to do and I had deadlines to meet and I had videos I had to get out and I had a schedule I had to keep. And it led to this feeling of just feeling so unfulfilled in the content that I was putting out, because I would get a video out and it would be done and then it was immediately like, okay, gotta do the next one now because you're so behind on your schedule. So all of this came to a head, and at the beginning of August, I was in a very bad place. Like I said, I literally wanted to die. And finally I talked to Charles about it. And I told him everything that had been going on, and I told him how suicidal I was, told him about how dark things had been getting for me in my life. And it was a very hard thing, but together we decided that it would be best if I went to a hospital. So this is where things get a little weird, because I just want to say this. When I went to a hospital for my mental health like 6 years ago, it literally saved my life. Like I'm not joking. At that point in time, that hospital and the services they provided me with, the medications they gave me, the outpatient services they set me up with, like it truly changed and saved my life when I went 6 years ago. I am in no way about to talk about this from the perspective of I don't think hospitals are a really good option, because I think a lot of times they can be a very, very good and healthy option for people who are at their lowest points. So what I did was I called the hospital that I had been to 6 years ago, and they had a bed open for me and I was able to go. And I got there at night. And this is also why I posted on Twitter and Instagram that I was going to be taking a break. This is why. It was because I was going to be in the hospital for, I didn't know how long at that point, but I assumed I would be out by the end of August. So I just said, like, I'm going to be gone. I didn't want to go into detail, but I was in the hospital. Like, that's where I was going. And I got there, and pretty immediately of getting there, and I still can't believe that this is real. Like, this all happened. It happened a few weeks ago now, but like I still can't believe this fucking happened. Got there, and pretty immediately somebody was like, you have a YouTube channel. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? So I panicked, like absolutely panicked. And at the time I panicked because, and this is what I said to everybody. I said this to my doctors, I said this to my therapist at the hospital, I said this to Charles, I said this to my mom. At the time, the reason I thought I was so panicked about somebody knowing me from YouTube was because I felt like I didn't have anonymity. Is that a word? I felt like I couldn't be truly anonymous. I felt like I couldn't openly talk about things because I had this fear in the back of my head of, well, this person that I met seems very nice. I'm gonna go home and get on Twitter and, you know, say all this information that I'm saying about myself. Like I had this fear of being like exposed almost in a mental hospital. What that led to being recognized was me basically saying like, I need to go, like I can't stay here. Being there was honestly worse for my mental health, like being there and being confronted with a situation I could have never imagined. Charles and I talked about it later. We never would have ever fathomed, because I'm not like that big of a YouTuber. Like we never could have fathomed like that being a possibility. We didn't even think about that being a possibility when we were going there. So I basically was like, I need to leave. And my doctors and everything didn't fully understand what I was saying, because I think they didn't understand like what I was trying to, I think they thought I was like just trying to make an excuse of why I wanted to leave. But I was like, no, I really like can't be here. Like the idea of being around someone who knows me from YouTube at one of the darkest points in my life is causing me this severe anxiety. They had to hold me for, I think it was 72 hours. They wanted to make sure I had outpatient services, which is the right thing to do. Because I was, again, like I said, at lowest point of my life that I can remember. So they kept me for outpatient services, but I refused to leave my room. I quite literally sat in the room that I was given for however long I was there, did not leave, didn't eat, was scared to go to the bathroom, couldn't stop crying, was like inconsolably crying for 2 days straight because I was so sad and miserable and upset. And it was only when I finally got to leave, I finally like left the hospital and Charles came and picked me up and we talked about it, that I realized the root of the problem was not really that I truly thought somebody would go and like expose me on Twitter for being in a hospital. Like, is that low-key a fear? Sure, but I don't think that person would have done that. I have to believe that like that person wasn't going to do that, because I don't think they would have, truthfully. What truly at my core I think bothered me, and what I didn't realize till I was out, was what bothered me was that I felt like one of the reasons I was going into the hospital was to almost get away from and escape this world of YouTube that causes me so much stress and anxiety. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was in a hospital at the lowest point in my life, and I couldn't get away from Smokey fucking Glow. And I couldn't deal with that. Like, I was so devastated that, like, it almost made me, like, at the time, I felt like, what the fuck have I done to my life that I can't even go to a psychiatric hospital without feeling like a YouTuber? Like, what have I done? Like, I almost felt like I had created this, like, monster of a channel, and, like, what have I done to myself? Immediately after getting home, I basically thought, I'm quitting YouTube. I talked to my family about it, I talked to my friends about it, and I was like, I'm quitting. I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be Smokey Glow. I don't want to make this content anymore that I feel like I'm just never going to be good enough at it. I feel like every video I make, there's a problem. I feel like I'm not good enough at this job. I don't deserve the platform that I was given. I don't deserve people liking me. Like, I'm just done with this job. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle the pressure of this job. And so Charles and I talked a lot about it, and he was like, I think you should just wait. He was like, you already said you're going to take off the month of August. I think that, you know, if he's been here since before I had the YouTube channel, so he's truly watched all of this from the start grow into what it's grown into, and he's been here for every single up and down of this channel. And he told me, he was like, I support you no matter what you want to do. However, I think if you make a rash decision and quit, I think you're going to really regret it, because I know at your core how much you truly love doing this job, because I've watched you turn something that was your passion into a business, and I think you'll regret giving up on that passion. Like, I think you'll miss making videos. I think you'll regret it. So just like take the rest of August off, don't post, and then, you know, try to think about if this is what you really want to do, if you really want to leave, or if you want to keep going. And also, if you do want to keep going, how are we going to make it so that this job isn't causing you this sort of mental health distress? I took some time, and I didn't do anything for like a week regarding YouTube. I deleted every single app off of my phone, every single social media app. I deleted Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, not TikTok, I actually still watch TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I deleted my creator app. I deleted my YouTube app. I wasn't watching YouTube videos. I deleted everything, and I fully disconnected from YouTube and the internet and everything. And what I found was very interesting, because I realized like I would go hang out with my friends, and I realized for the first time in like 4 years how present I was with my friends, how like genuinely there I was. Because normally if I would hang out with my friends, I was always checking comments, or I was getting a video ready to upload, or I was watching through a video, or drama would break. So I'd go in a corner and watch a Gabby Hanna video while I'm like trying to socialize. My socializing time was always all consumed by my job as well. And I realized that with everything in my life. If Charles and I were watching a show, I realized this is the first time in like 4 years that I've just watched TV with him without being on the internet in some way, without waiting for news to drop, without checking comments. Like, I was fully present in every social interaction in my life for the first time in a very long time. And it made me realize how all-consuming I had let this job become. Like, for the first time, I realized how almost like obsessed I was with this job and with YouTube, and how obsessed I was with social media and just how in everything I was. And I realized that that was really a major factor in why I felt so burnt out and why I felt so shitty. There's a lot of pros to doing this job. And one of the biggest was that I was able to take a month off. Like, you can't do that in other jobs. You can't just take a month off because you're feeling upset. Like, you can't do that. So the fact that I was even able to take this time off is a blessing. But I think kind of the counterpart of that is when you are working, you're working 24/7. I saw a funny TikTok and I really like related to it because it was like, oh, I'm self-employed, so I've given up the 9 to 5 for working 24/7. And like, yeah, that's kind of how it feels. I'm sure other people, not even YouTubers, but if you're just freelance or you run your own company or you do your own business, anything that you're doing that is like you are the one who are giving up that 9 to 5 in the sense that like you have more flexible hours, you're not as structured, but you don't stop working. Also, on top of that, I started realizing that I missed making videos. I was literally like getting antsy because I was like, I had all these ideas and concepts and scripts and I wanted to work on them and I wanted to write them and I wanted to film them and edit them and post them and know what everyone else was thinking about what I was thinking about. And I started missing that interaction with you guys, missing reading comments about stories. I missed scripting, especially because I love scripting. So I started scripting again, and I started just no pressure to ever film the content I was scripting, but more so just to see like, is this something I still love doing now that I'm a little bit more removed from it? And it was. I have like 5 scripts that I wrote because I had so much fun just researching and doing it, and it made me excited to start filming again. Now, on top of all of this, I should say, I didn't just take a break and like not do anything to fix my mental health. The past few weeks have been pretty heavily just like getting my mental health back on track. So I started new medication, which so far has been working really well and has been very helpful. I started therapy, started couples therapy, started art therapy, started setting up a schedule for what my days are going to look like, even with YouTube. Setting myself up where I'm in a more 9 to 5 situation so I can log off and not be working during certain times, so I can go out with my friends and not have to be stressing about the deadlines that I'm missing. And is this schedule going to be like perfectly adhered to? No, absolutely not. But I'm hoping that it will be helpful and it will be a guide for being able to disengage from the internet when it is appropriate to do so, for taking downtime when I need it. Obviously, there's still things that are not great. Obviously, I'm still struggling with, you know, feelings of like not feeling good enough, not even just in YouTube, but like in life, and struggling with, you know, anxiety and depression and having bad days and having bad moments. But compared to where I was a month ago when things were at their absolute worst, it's like leaps and bounds better. I feel more confident and more ready to excel in my life, and not only excel in my life, but also just like take a minute to actually enjoy what I have worked for and created and the successes I have had. There was a moment a few weeks ago where I was sitting literally right here in this chair, and I was looking around at my office and I was looking at like my plaque, my 100 subscriber plaque, and I was like looking at everything, and I was like thinking to myself, you have everything that 2 years ago you could have ever wanted. This is everything you ever dreamed of having. Like, this is, you are living your dream, literally. Like, this is 2 years ago Hannah, what she dreamed of achieving, and you fucking did it. And you're sitting here and you're miserable and you hate your life and you hate it. And I thought about that for a second. I sat in that thought of how miserable I was achieving what I had always wanted. Then the additional follow-up question was, how can I start living my life so that I love my life again and that I'm proud and happy of the things that I have accomplished and I can enjoy living this literal dream that I am able to live. That's what I started doing. And it's not perfect and it's never going to be perfect. And I'm sure I'm going to still have time where I'm stressed out and anxious and depressed, and I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs because that is how mental health is. It's never just like oh, I'm cured, everything's great. But I feel better and more in a place to start posting on this channel again and being more active on social media again, feeling more excited to be posting again, feeling really energized and like well rested on top of that. And I guess I just want to close this out by saying, I know that it's a very privileged thing to be able to say, well, take care of your mental health, because it is like you sometimes you just can't. Like I've been there. I've been in a job where I was making $8 an hour and I didn't have paid time off. I didn't have sick time. Any day I wasn't working, I wasn't getting paid, which meant I wasn't going to make my rent. And I was, again, miserable then too. Like I had a lot of other struggles, but they were different. Been in the position where I would hear people say, well, take time for your mental health. And I'd say, go fuck yourself. How am I supposed to do that? But even if it's just being able to take 5 minutes a day that's fully for yourself, that's like practicing mindfulness or drawing a picture or doing something that is like stress relieving to you and helpful to you, do it. Because or even if it's as simple as like being able to set up like a teletherapy, although therapy too is another one that's like incredibly privileged to be able to have therapy, which is so annoying. But if there's anything you can do to help your mental health before it gets to a point where you're at a low point, do it. Because if I had listened to my body and my mind months ago, I never would have got to a place where I was so at my bottom that I needed like severe crisis intervention. Like that never would have happened if I had listened to myself months ago. If I hadn't just told myself I was just not trying hard enough. If I hadn't just told myself I was being however, like I never would have needed to get to this point. Even if all you can do is like talk to a really good friend who can help you through it, do it and know that you're not alone. Do anything you can to preserve your mental health because it is just as important as our physical health. I gotta wrap this up because I feel like I'm just rambling and it's raining really hard here, but I love you guys so much. I am so excited to start posting again. I'm so excited to do it in a way that is healthy and not detrimental to my mental health. And I'm so excited for you guys to see the new content because I think it's gonna be really good. I hope it's good. No, it is. It's good. That interaction with myself has been my past month. That's all I've been doing. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I hope you liked this video. If you did, actually, you don't have to like and subscribe. Nobody who doesn't already know me probably watched this video, but I love you guys, and I will see you on Wednesday for the next video. Bye!